Ben, can you share some tips that Joe gave you, not just about screenwriting in general, but about really pouring your heart into the script, just pouring your whole life into it?
You know, one of the main, I think one of the things that Joe really taught me was trust your instincts. That was one of the biggest things as a writer, and be true to the story, be true to yourself, and put everything on paper, or now these days on a laptop. You know, so yeah.
What was that process like for you?
It was hard. It was tough because the story's so personal. It took a long time. I mean, this has been over 10 years. So it's, you know, when you have something that's related to your family, about losing a brother and for me also losing a daughter, and it's all, every single one of these characters is someone that I grew up with or was related to my family and also the neighborhood. So it's tough. It was a process. I found myself at times, even when I was writing the memoir, after a few pages, you get emotional. You know, it's really hard, but you gotta work through it. And Joe was always there for me.
Do you two almost have like a shorthand with each other, where you already know what he's going to say and you've already answered it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, like with any great friendship, you know, you develop a way of speaking to one another, a way of interacting, and you know, and you know, it's like my brother and I. It's the same thing. You know, we have these kind of these inside jokes that we're laughing at that other people find obnoxious because they don't know. You know what I mean? Because that shorthand, you know, doesn't exist. They don't understand that. But there's only from, you know, almost 20 years of knowing somebody and spending the time with them. So there is that, and I think there is a like-mindedness in Ben and I as artists. I think we're striving for the same things. You know, we don't want these kind of artificial experiences, and we wanted to make El Chicano something that was not only singular in its kind of vision, but also in its unique sense of family, unique kind of emotional journey that the character goes on that I thought, we both thought was very necessary, and that's kind of what we strove for.
How usual or unusual is it for someone to spend, 20 years behind the camera, then getting their chance to direct? Or is that something that most people don't realize about Hollywood?
Yeah, you know, it's not unusual because we are storytelling. You know, even as early as being a stuntman to then becoming a stunt coordinator and a second unit director for Joe. You know, you're always, you know, I was very fortunate. I had some people that really took me under the wing, Ron Stein being one of them, who was like a father figure when I first started in the business. And it was like, you know, you can only do this for so long as a young stunt guy. You know, it's like being an athlete. If you really want to have longevity, you better learn lenses, learn story. And of course, I fell in love with the fact of being a storyteller. So we were, you know, in some way you're always directing. You know, you're always coming up with ideas, and with the relationship I had with Joe, it's like this collaboration of when he was doing, whether it be the A-Team or the Gray, some of these films, and you know, sitting down and talking about storyboards and what needs to be shot. It was like you were in school, you know.
We have a lot of screenwriters that watch our channel. What do you think is the number one thing screenwriters do to ruin a screenplay that they need to really work on? I think
my thought on that, Karen, is that they spend too much time overanalyzing it, and I think that hopefully this newer generation of writers is moving further away from the kind of the let's call it the Robert McKee story, you know, like kind of this what I find arguably the dearth of good writing is to try to plug it into this formulaic, this must happen at this page, that must happen at that page. Because I'll find you an example throughout the history of screenplays where you can confound whatever it is that's put out there. And I find that very almost dangerously homogenizing a process which is by its very nature spontaneous and creative and should be. And I think when a writer stops being spontaneous or stops allowing things to happen to the story, is when it's dangerous. Because in doing it also siphons off the individual nature of whomever that writer is. And when you see it done, someone like Charlie Kaufman who writes, you know, masterful, very unusual, very specific screenplays, and that's why, you know, he's regarded in the way that he is. So I think you've got to keep that in mind and never lose sight of the fact that you are an individual and that screenplay should live and breathe you.
Excellent.
Yeah, cool.
5 things an actor should not do during an audition.
Things an actor shouldn't do.
I think everything's on the table.
Tell them how funny the material is or how well it's written. That's insulting because you go, this is really funny. Well, how did you think it was going to be? So that's one I would say.
Oops. No.
Don't ask them to validate your parking. Don't say, usually when they put me on tape, I'm not wearing anything.
Okay. Unless you're in the valley.
You guys got two.
I got one and you got one.
left.
Yeah, I guess. All right, you go for it.
I think one thing you shouldn't do is you shouldn't shake hands with anyone. You shouldn't presume that someone's gonna greet you openly. Because they don't.
Wow. Well, I have failed all of these. I'm like, this is so funny, and I give them a hug. So fail.
Fail. Go ahead, there's one left.
Pero let's see. For me, it's just don't overthink. Like, just go. Like, I just say, hey, this is my gift to you, have fun. Instead of like, is this what you want? I never think that. I think, hi, this is my gift, microphone drop, and you just leave.
Okay, so that's why you don't work more. George Lopez.
Okay, so then once you get the job, 5 things an actor does on set that are huge mistakes.
Direct another actor.
George is trying to direct me left and right.
No, listen, no way. I think sit in somebody's chair.
Really?
Yeah, if you sit in the executive producer's chair as an actor, or just go to catering and shut up.
Yeah, I think just showing up, like, what bothers me is you have 200-person crew. People wake up at 4 a.m. They're spending 17 hours a day. And I really don't like when people aren't prepared.
Right.
That's my big thing. Like, to me, acting is like tennis. You can't out-act somebody. You throw them the ball. Depending on how they hit the ball to you is how you hit it back. So to me, it's just be really prepared. I think even if that means whatever if it's like not knowing the lines at all, but you kind of know what the scene's about, whatever, or you know the lines inside out, whatever it is, but I just feel like it's really disrespectful if people are like figuring it out there while everyone is like just waiting. Right? Or what do you think is like the worst thing?
No, I think that's right on.
Leave before someone's coverage, like you go somewhere and then you're not there for the other actor.
Oh,
You have to go to dinner or something.
Gotcha.
Hey, they're gonna act with you because I gotta go.
Yeah, they'll be like, act with this piece of tape.
Yeah. Or talk loud about something that nobody cares about, which would be their own life.
Oh my God, George.
I think that's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
That's 5 good ones.
For this film, did Ben and Joe allow you just to improv a dialogue, or were they very strict with the script?
I think we kept to the script. I mean, there's a lot of information in there, and there's a lot of pertinent and important information, and I think it was good to stick to it. I mean, there were moments when we got to play and have some fun, but I think the script is so well written. I think if we played within the script, we were good. So,
I think that maybe you guys, ad-libbing is only good in comedies. I don't think it's good in dramatic, because how are you gonna make it sadder or more dramatic? Wow, he's really dead. It's already, the guy's dead. You don't, so I think drama doesn't really, does it or not?
Yeah, well, the only improv that I did was just add Spanish, which Ben was cool with. I said, look, they're having this really intimate conversation, and they've been together forever, and I just feel like she would speak Spanish to him. And he was like, please, So there's a couple things that I said in that scene that I just spoke Spanish to him. But other than that, yeah, it's so well written. You just don't have to mess with it.
Was there chemistry between you two? Because I don't see it in the movie, but was it when you guys were shooting?
Raúl.
Was there or not? Because it didn't come across
Is there
on
such
screen,
thing as
but-
too much chemistry, George? There might
There
have
is
been
a thing
too
as too
much.
much.
That's the 6th thing you don't do on set, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well.
Yeah, but you guys got along. No, it's very sweet, your relationship.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
important. I mean, Ben and Joe had us meet well before we even went off to shoot the movie, and I think that added to the chemistry. I think it gave us a little bit of history before we walked on set in that way. And I think that was important that we spent time before we landed in Calgary where we shot.
Yeah, and when we met Joe for the first time, Joe's like, you guys have known each other forever. And he said, Ben, how long have they known each other? And we're like, we just met. an hour ago. And Joe couldn't believe it. Remember we went out for tequila and
I picked
he picks me up, and by
Yeah.
the time the car ride ended, we just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd known you for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So, you know.
Just last story, anything that happened on set where it seemed like it was going to be a disaster, and then at the last minute, something happened and it pulled it all together.
How much time do you have? No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it's it's independent filmmaking, so there's all kinds of little disasters, but it's how well people deal with them, and that's kind of part of filmmaking. It's at least in television, you develop a rhythm to shooting, and in television, it's over, and by the time you start developing some, this kind of rhythm. So, but you can really tell the character of the crew and how they handle all those little accidents. And I think the crew it was well, everyone gelled really well and dealt with adversity in the best way you can ask for.
We have a scene, he and I, in the ambulance, and it's very tight. So it was Raúl's laying down, I'm over there, and the paramedic is, I mean, he really was acting. You're gonna be all right. He's getting in front of the camera. Just hang on. And Ben's like, hey, that dude. I said, this dude needs to bring it down a little bit. So I think he just ended up not talking and putting an IV in.
George, that was like
Remember
his
that dude?
dream as an actor.
Remember that dude? Just take it easy. You're like, hey, man, this guy, it's too loud for this little area.
That was the test.
He's ordering a nurse around. There's no nurse in there. I need some saline. Stat. So, dude, we're the only ones in here. So I think that you can do too much because it's the one thing, he holds it up. I think this is gonna work. The thing comes up in the air. All right.
No, but I will say, George being a stand-up comedian, he is unrecognizable in this film. Like, his dramatic work as an actor is piercing and grounded and connected, and I really am so proud. I just want to say that. I'm very excited. Yeah.
You got me to read the script 5 months. She was telling me how great the movie was, and I didn't, I'm golfing. I ain't got time to read. So it was going to go away, and she said, really, really, I'm telling you, don't miss this opportunity. I'm glad that, I partially read it.
You read just
I'm
parts?
dyslexic, man. Why don't you just give me the Encyclopedia Britannica to look at? Exactlopedia, that's what I call it. The Encyclopedia Britannica.
I know, we're gabbers.
¿Cómo se llama? Encyclopedia.
Thank you so